Welcome to Free Advice Friday. My name is Keri Barnum for New Shelves Books, and we are here to talk about marketing, publishing, and the business of being an author. You can join us live by going to newshelves.com/FAF. You can also email in questions to info@newshelves.com, and then we answer them. You can watch the replays over on YouTube, which is just New Shelves Books on YouTube. We do have quite a few questions that were emailed in this week, so we're going to jump right in with those to see what we can get answered. The first question was from Cheryl. And recently, Dave over at Kindlepreneur sent out a notification about the Corporate Transparency Act, which is requiring that you now do its BOI or BOI reporting. And so this is one of those things that it sends out. It sounds very scary because honestly, if you are one of the people who should be filling this thing out, you can be charged hundreds of dollars a day if you're in the US for being non-compliant. And so it sounds very scary. It sounds like, whoa, what the heck? But it's not that crazy, you guys, to be honest. I am not a lawyer. I am not a tax advisor. I'm not a CPA, so I cannot give you legal or financial advice, but I will tell you what I have done for me and my business. This really, to my understanding, this Corporate Transparency Act and the BOI reporting really is affecting those authors or publishers who are acting under a business name. So if you're working under an LLC, in particular, you do have to go and you have to fill out this form for BOI or BOI reporting. It is a form you can pay someone else to do it, or you can do it yourself. It's not very hard. There are a ton of YouTube tutorials. It takes like 30 minutes to do. So that's one of those things. And then someone is saying that thing was recently placed on hold by a federal court, so consult your CPA financial advisor on it. Exactly. Again, I'm not a CPA. I know about yay much. And so it's one of those things. It does sound much more scary than it is. Even if it does go through to my understanding, you just do this simple form and you fill out the questions if you have an LLC. If you are a author publishing under your own name, you're filing your own taxes, you're not doing an LLC or a company, then I believe that this does not apply for you. But definitely consult your CPA if you have any questions. But even if you have to do it, it's not that scary. It's not that hard. You just have to do it by January 31st. So I know that email kind of, and it's not a scare tactic. Dave even said it's not a scare tactic, but it is something that can sound scary. So I think that was important to talk about. Is it too late to get assistance from a marketing consultant for a book launching in February 2025? Charlotte, you should contact them immediately. I will say I am already booking into 2025 in most cases. Most people will be booking months in advance. So it would really depend on how much help you need. If you need a strategy session where you can work with a consultant for an hour to get your strategy in place and then you go and do it, you've probably got time. If you're looking for an all-out launch, it's probably a little late. So it does depend on what you're capable of doing yourself, what you need assistance with, but I would reach out immediately. Because sometimes we have like little cracks. Like I had a ton of book launches in October and I have a bunch in January. When I say a bunch, I mean a bunch. But February for me is kind of like a weird dry month. So sometimes we'll have little cracks in time, but it's 2 months to launch. So there's only so much that can be done within that time, especially with holidays here. So if it's like a strategy session of like, hey, here's what you need to do, here are your resources, you've got time. You can always contact me. I do that. And that's one of the things that I provide for publishers and authors. So you can definitely get in contact if you're interested in that. And you do have time for that one. Let's see, back to the questions. Yes, so we had questions. Victoria was asking what conference it was that I'll be attending and speaking at in 2025. And there are two of them. I will drop them in the chat here. So in March, I'll be going to West Virginia to speak at the Manuscript to Marketplace conference. And so that one will be coming up in March. And I'll be keynoting at that one if you're on the East Coast kind of area side. And then in May, gosh, I can't even think. In May, I will be speaking at Hub U with IBPA, and that's in Minnesota from May 15th through the 17th. You can sign up for that directly at publishinguniversity.org, and I will drop that link in as well. And if anyone is planning to go to any of these conferences, absolutely, please let me know. I would love to connect with you. One of the things that I do on purpose is I'll try to find conferences around, people I've worked with or people I know, because I love to get in touch and actually see your faces for real. So I will be at those two. And several more, I think, later in the fall, but those are the two I know for sure. Like I have airfare, so it's for sure. Let's see. All right, question. Not too long ago, I won a certificate of excellence from the Cat Writers Association for all the Furs and Feathers Book One in the Cattail series. Recently, the CWA sent me the feedback from the 3 judges who determined the winners. I would love to use some of it in my marketing. However, this feedback is from the judges, not a review. Also, I was not given the names of any of the judges. Can I still use it? If so, how do I cite it? This is a great question, Eileen. And yes, you can use the feedback from judges as kind of an editorial review. I've talked to several award boards about this, and they have all agreed that judge feedback is something that can be used as an editorial review. And most of the time, what they prefer that you do is you cite whatever the quote is, and then you have it as the Cat Writers Association judge feedback or the CWA judge review or something like that. So you literally cite kind of the award and then something generic like judge review feedback, something like that. So that has been confirmed by, I think I talked to someone over at IBPA about the awards over there. I talked to someone at, what were the other 2? They're escaping me, but I did talk to, I think 3, maybe 4, and they all agreed that that would be fine to use. So I would go for it. Find a nice way to say essentially it was judge feedback or critical feedback. Let's see. And that is, by the way, one of the fringe benefits of kind of doing a award or going through an award process is that when you get feedback, it kind of works as a review. And that is one of the reasons for investing in an award. Not only is it cool and it can give you some PR, but also because you can get some feedback and use reviews that way. Jane had a question about how to convert a Word doc to an EPUB. And then she answered her own question. So she ended up using Convertio, Convertio. Convertio. You can also use Calibri, which is a program. I believe that one's free, although it might have upgrades. And then you can actually also convert from a Word document to an EPUB file that you can then download and use directly from draft to digital. So that is also free. So you've got multiple free options. And on the draft to digital one, I've done a YouTube tutorial on how to do that. And I will drop that in the chat. But if you are joining us later, there we go. If you are joining us later, you can always go to the New Shelves YouTube channel, just search draft to digital, and you will see it come up. And Calibri, I think I'm saying it right. Let me see. Yes, it's Calibre. And that's a system you can use as well. So there's several resources you can use to convert a Word document to a ebook. Just know that some of them they're not perfect conversions. So you do have to kind of proof them and make sure that it converts like you want it to. And then of course there is paid programming. You can use things like Vellum for formatting. Atticus is another one. So many, many options there. Let's see. Excuse me. And that was a follow-up question for I have my short story on BookFunnel now. Yay. I have a landing page connected to my email list. Now what? And that is an excellent question. What do you do with these things on BookFunnel once you get them up? Because BookFunnel is one of my favorite tools for growing an email list. And so the question is kind of like, what the heck do you do with it once you do that? I am going to go into my BookFunnel account and show you what I've been working on as an example. So give me one moment here. Hopefully my password keeper is working, because if not, I don't remember anything. Is it gonna work? It's that kind of morning. It might not. It might just decide nope. All right, let's see. Here we go. And I'll share my screen so you can see it in just a minute so you can understand and see what we are doing. All right. So this is BookFunnel. For those of you who've been around for any length of time, you know that I am a huge fan of BookFunnel because BookFunnel is a really easy way to store your online files for delivery as well as to um, grow your email list. So when you're adding a book, you just go, assuming you have an account, you have to go, you add a new book. It is very, very easy. You put in the book information, the title, author name, book type, and then a quick description. And then once you go to save it, it asks for your files. You upload them. You can have a book up on BookFunnel in a matter of, 3 or 4 minutes. Not very hard. So once you do that, though, you have to create a landing page. That's essentially a page for people to download your book. So that might look like, actually, let's do the same book all the way through. All right, so that would look like this. I'll show you a landing page. All right, so this is Room at the Inn, which is a Christmas short story from Paula Munet. And you can see it's very simple. It's just the book cover, it's got a little description. And then when you click Get My Book, people have to sign up for her mailing list in order to get a copy of the book. So this is your landing page. And this landing page can be sent out to your newsletter list. It can be used online saying, my Christmas gift to you is a short story. Click here to download. You can put it out in your mailing list. You can put it in the back matter of a book if it's something that's evergreen. I wouldn't necessarily do a Christmas story in the back of a book, but different things that way. So this is your landing page. But what we can do with the landing page, and we can join something called a group promo. A group promo is where you are using other people to all market each other. So you're finding your people who are writing books like yours, and then you from there are doing a group promo. Let me tell you what that looks like. So let's just go to general fiction. It might be a little late for Christmas, but we'll look. We're going to sort by type. So these different types, this means it's Amazon. This means that everyone is promoting different pages on Amazon. This is a sales promo. I have not found these to be very effective unless maybe you're in Kindle Unlimited and working with other authors in Kindle Unlimited. But today we're going to focus on, and they have them for places like Kobo and Barnes and Noble, but we're focusing on newsletter because we want people to sign up for our newsletter with a free book, not to buy a book. That's the purpose here. And you look through these and you find things that might work. Strong women, celebrating Black History Month, BookFunnel. And there's usually some things, subgenres down here that you can look for. And you're trying to find something that your book or story fits in. Maybe it's got animals. Maybe my favorite thing is to find, oh, look, Christmas at the barn. Now, this one already started, so we're too late for that. Doesn't fit. We could type in something like holiday. Nope, nothing there. So then maybe we just say, well, my story is about women. Can we focus on women? And there's lots of options, as you can see. All right. So I would go and I would try to find one. Let's say I'm like, okay, strong women, that fits my story. When you click on it, you see the rules of the promotion, and it'll say, this one doesn't allow erotica, sexually suggestive book covers. There's up to 100 slots, which means 100 different stories can be swapped. And there's all these kind of criteria. Most of them are all pretty standard. I know it looks like a lot, but it's all pretty standard. So then you can ask to join the promotion with the book that you have available. Now, what I usually do is I go to the preview page because I want to see what these other books look like to see if mine fits in. So here you can see it's books featuring strong, independent young girls and women, but I want to see what other kind of books are in there. So this one looks very fantasy at the top. It's grayed out because it's not live yet. This is kind of thriller. This looks maybe, sci-fi thriller. That one, not as much. So we're kind of trying to get an idea of, do the books here give the same vibe as my book? Because if the answer is no, if all of these are sci-fi and my book's historical fiction, then the idea of cross promoting with other authors doesn't work as well. Because if I want to promote your audience or my book to your audience and promote your book to my audience, if our audiences are completely different, if you've got sci-fi and I've got historical fiction, it's not likely to work well. We're marketing to the wrong audience. So you want to make sure that the audience is similar so that you're going to get a good return on your investment of time and energy. Once you find a promo that you think is a good fit, you do join promo and you just fill out the portions here and you join the promo. Once that happens, you're given a tracking link. So once you sign up for a promo, I've got one in right now. Here we go. Once you sign up for a promo here, it looks like this, where you get a tracking link here. And this is because they want to know how many times and how many places you shared this link. They want to help make sure that you are being a good part of the promotion, a good partner. And so they give you a tracking link and you are responsible for sharing that tracking link on social media with your newsletter list by running a Facebook ad somehow to get traffic over to the tracking link. And that's your job. And then in the meantime, everyone else is doing that as well. So if you have 100 authors who are all doing the same thing, then you're getting a lot of traffic to your page. So you can see this book for Room at the End for Paula. Her share date got confused, so it's actually later. So she only has 25 clicks so far, but that's because her share date's coming this week. But her story, her landing page has had 465 views because of this promotion, and 345 people have claimed her short story and joined her mailing list. So with this one short story and this one group promo, she has grown her mailing list by 345 people. And that's a huge amount. That's tremendous. So by using these short stories and the group promos, that is how you really boost your newsletter subscription, your mailing list. Now, in addition to this, she's still sharing directly her link to her newsletter list. She's sharing it on social media. She actually got asked to be part of like an Advent book calendar kind of thing. And so she's sharing it that way. And it's giving readers a taste of her writing. In the back of every short story that Paula and I work on together, because we have several, she actually has a piece in the back that markets her other book, so her book series, and it's like a little promo. It's got a link directly to Amazon, so we're giving them promo directly to Amazon as well as they're joining her mailing list so she can market to them in the future. I think that BookFunnel, if used correctly and if used wisely, I think BookFunnel is one of the best ways to grow a mailing list and to market long term. Let's see, a couple of questions. Is BookFunnel also good for a small publisher? Yes. Charlotte, I have used BookFunnel with multiple publishers who will in many cases, they'll have their authors write like deleted scenes, bonus epilogue, short story, and then they'll do that. And when someone signs up for the mailing list, the author of that newsletter and the publisher both get the email address. That's how they work it so that it's signed up for. So you can grow your publisher mailing list for books as well as your author, which is a nice bonus kind of marketing piece to offer them. You can do deleted scenes, Walt. That works well for people who've read your book. So in the back of your book, you could say, for deleted scenes, click here. And then that means that people who've already read your book or interested in your work could then join up for your mailing list. Deleted scenes, if it's someone who's not read your book, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it works because it can stand on its own. But if it's in the middle of a story and it doesn't make sense, then obviously that wouldn't work. So you have to use some judgment there. Yeah, I think there's a lot of great ways to use it, and it can definitely build your mailing list. I have seen Paula and I, Paula knows. I'm like, hey, Paula, let's do a short story. And by let's, I mean you. I do all her cover work and I put it up. So I guess I'm part of it. But Paula has done a Christmas short story. That was her one from last year. She did another Christmas short story this year. And then we have two kind of evergreen short stories that we've done. And her mailing list has grown because of those. I would guess by a couple thousand just from that when we do them. So I think it's a great opportunity, especially if you have short stories, deleted scenes. I'm a big fan of creating short stories that tie into your book or series. So it's a little taste of your characters, and then we bring them over. So lots of ways to use that. Let me see. All right, we got that one answered. We did BookFunnel. Okay. Howard asked a question about if there were any downsides to using BookBot Live. I personally don't know what BookBot.live is, so I couldn't say much on it. And as I said, I haven't had time to explore it. It looks like it's BookBot allows authors, students, and readers and publishers to create their own library of AI books. So I have no experience with this, Howard, I'm afraid. And I can't speak to it. But if anyone else on the call has, feel free to put it in the chat and let us know. Otherwise, I'll try to look into it and see if I can give you more information on the next Free Advice Friday. Let's see. Liz's question. I started up a couple of my old Amazon ads to test, and one of them looks like it may work, but it's a category ad as opposed to a keyword ad. I'm not 100% sure how to manage it and scale this ad. Any advice? So, when we're talking about Amazon ads, when we're talking about keywords, are kind of interesting because when we're talking about scaling or managing keyword ads, we are typically looking for new keywords, new comps. We are looking for how our budgets are. Are we going up or down? Are we stopping a keyword? Are we adding a keyword? There's so many opportunities there, right? And keywords can be kind of they're almost limitless. And so it gives a lot of opportunity for Amazon ads to adjust to scale. But categories are a little bit different because categories are literally just based on the categories that Amazon has available. They are not limitless. And more than that, you want to really stay within your correct categories. If you have a sci-fi book, you don't want to market to historical fiction. It's not going to convert well. So if you have an ad that is working well, that's a category ad on Amazon, and you want to optimize and scale that, my best advice would be if you've got a category ad, look at your past sales, your conversions. If you have categories that are not converting and they've had 50 clicks, if they've been running for some time and they're not converting, turn those categories off. They're spending your money and they're not reaching your target audience. if you have categories that are working well, look and make sure that your bid is competitive. Do you need to go up a couple cents in order to reach more people who are converting through this category? Very much the same. If you're getting no action, but you're also seeing very little or no impressions for a category, look and see if you're spending enough to be competitive in that category for your ad. And then from there, and that's pretty much all you can do, right? Because we can't go find more and more and more categories. It's just not possible. But what you can do is once you've got an ad that's working well, it's converting well, and it is, you've got good ROI on it, then you can start increasing your overall spend on Amazon. Typically, I do that by just a couple dollars a day. If you're spending less than $10 a day on this ad, I would only scale by maybe $2 a week and make sure it's still converting. If you have a bigger ad, if you have an ad that's spending $20 a day, 30, 40, and yes, I do have ads that spend that much, then I think that you can jump by about $5 per week and kind of watch that and scale that. And so I think that's definitely one of those things that you can look at for your category ads specifically. Now, always, 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 I will caveat this by saying anytime that we are adjusting ads, I typically look the month backwards. It takes up to 14 days for Amazon to report ad data. So if we are constantly adjusting our ads that have just been running this week or just last week, we may not have the full sales data. So I am more of a fan of looking back 30 days or 90 days on an ad before making too many drastic changes. Now, if you're seeing really great responses in the other direction, so if you're seeing positive responses, your ad could get even better. So then I think it's okay to scale up. But as far as cutting dead weight or different things like that, look kind of past. And also, when we're looking at things like ROI, it's important to think about whether this is a standalone book or if this is a series and if it's your loss leader. So, for example, I have an author that I run ads with. Um, her Amazon ads in particular, because we do Facebook ads as well, but her Amazon ads in particular, we spend um I think between three ads, we spend about $150 a day on ads for this one book. And as long as the ROI or the on the Amazon dashboard, it says ACOS, the actual cost of sale, as long as the actual cost of sale for this book is 300% or lower, we are profitable because it's the beginning part of a series and we've calculated out the read through on the series and how much she makes on a read through of the series and how much she makes on average if someone starts reading the first book. So if that ACOS is $300, or I'm sorry, 300% or lower, that ad is profitable. So even though someone might look at that ad and say, this is 300%, this is terrible. It's really not. It's a profitable ad. Now, do we like them lower? Yes. And our average ACOS on those ads in particular is between 100 and 120%. That means that she's like tripling her money on those ads, even though, according to some things, if you only looked at ACOS, they aren't great ads. So I think it's one of those things that we use the Amazon ad dashboard to inform us, but it's not a be all end all. We also have to look at the overall income from that book or series. We have to look at the page reads if you're on Kindle Unlimited and the overall royalties. So you want to obviously make more than you're spending, but you can't just look at the ad dashboard and see it as the only thing. If you're spending $100 in the ad dashboard, are you making more overall? Are you seeing overall more royalties because your name's out there, because your book's being exposed more? Because those are things that account for successful books. Most authors that I know, especially those with series, have loss leaders, meaning they market and spend more than they make on the first book in series or the first standalone that gets people over to their mailing list, but they're profitable overall because of, that read through and that conversion. So all of those things play in, and you have to look at the big picture as well as the individual dashboards. Let's see. All right. Let me go. There's a couple questions here, so I'm going to see if I can find the first one to start with. All right, question number one. For a book review by Booklist, they request the following, including a publication slip. What is a publication slip? Like a sell sheet in most cases. So it says vital information required. Review copies in all categories must include a publication slip specifying prices and ISBNs for all editions, publication date, and publisher distributor. Yep, it's like a sell sheet. That's all they're looking for. So that is fine. And most places, when you're sending in for reviews anywhere, they tell you exactly what they're looking for. And in almost every case, they're looking for the same thing. The publication date, ISBNs, cost, the publisher name, where it's distributed at, the formats, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's very standard. Definitely make yourself a book sheet, book one sheet. You can make these over on Canva. If you don't know where to start, you go to the newshelves.com website, go to our store, and we either have totally done for you book one sheets, or we also have a really easy to use Canva template. So it's like, I don't know, it's under $5. And you can get the Canva template and you just drag and drop your information into it. You can change colors to fit your brand a little bit better. It's very easy to do. So that's helpful if you really don't know where to start. Let's see. Question number two, is it a good idea to flag a novel as a debut novel if it is our first novel, or does doing this just highlight that we are not an experienced author? That is a good question. So debut novel actually can get a lot of attention because it means it's new and it's fresh. It also opens you up for new awards and new lists. So there are actually lists of like best debut novel and different things like that. Amazon will choose them, Goodreads will choose them, and different things like that. So debut novel just means it's new and fresh and exciting. It doesn't mean it's not good. So absolutely, I think it can be used that way. And it also means that you can qualify for different lists and awards because it's your first book. So that's exciting. And finally, it seems like the paperweights between KDP and Ingram Spark are different. Ingram Spark seems to have no choice. It's just 50 pounds, only for both black and white and cream paper. KDP has a range of paperweights, and we think 60 pounds would be best. But this is only available in KDP. So what paperweight do you recommend for middle grade novels printed at KDP and Ingram Spark? 50 pounds is standard. When you go for heavier paper, that's typically going to be if you're doing a book that has a lot of illustrations that you don't want to bleed through. If it is like a coffee table book, if it's an illustrated book, something like that is when you typically go to the heavier paper weight. 50-pound is pretty standard almost everywhere when you're reading a trade paperback. Mass market paperback actually even has a thinner looking paper, which is right, it's mass market. So 50 pounds is very standard. And yes, I would make the paperweight both the same with both companies, even though there are going to be some differences with printing between Ingram Spark and KDP. I would try to keep your book as similar as possible between the two. You don't want big changes that can cause confusion or make some people, if someone ordered a KDP version and then they get the Ingram Spark version, they might think they have a misprint and then complain or return it. So I would stick as consistently as possible. Let's see, if we print paperbacks with both Ingram Spark and KDP so that both can be available on Amazon, that's not how it works. So if you're printing the same book with both places, what happens is that KDP kind of overruns Ingram Spark. So Ingram Spark still can kind of sell their book, but it's not a separate listing. And so KDP will always prioritize their own buy button, which means they're the ones that pretty much sells on Amazon. Ingram Spark can sell to other people. For example, they can sell to other online bookstores and places like that. But the average person would never see the difference. Like it's all on one sales page. So it doesn't so much work like that. And you would have to have the same price and all the same things there. Fantastic. All right. So I definitely don't keep it as similar as possible across the board. Let's see. Okay. And final question here. Is it a good idea to, oh, no, I already did that question. Do. I started with that question. Look at me. So that's all of your questions, Diana. I think I got them. All right. All right, you guys. I think that's all the questions that I had that were actually in my inbox. If you have any more questions, let me know because I am very happy to answer them. And we've got about 10 more minutes to go. Um, but really, I think the thing with the paperweights and all of that is that there are many different options, but when you're using more than one printer, you want to keep them as similar as possible so you don't create confusion, because that is the best. We want to make it as seamless and similar as possible. Let's see. I used to love the mass market paperbacks. Can I do those on one of my novels? You can, not through KDP, I don't believe, but Ingram Spark does have availability for print on demand to do sizing for like a mass market paperback. And then you can use, I think it's called groundwood paper, which is thinner. I think it's 38 pounds. I could be wrong. But so you can do that, and that gives your book the mass market paperback feel by smaller trim size with that groundwood paper. Can I edit the text of a book on BookFunnel? You cannot. You would have to go back to your book on a Word or your ebook formatting, update it and edit it there, and then you can go into your book on BookFunnel and just upload a new book file. So you would go to your book page, hit it, edit book, and drop in the new file. Yeah. All right, let's see how to quickly get Amazon verified reviews. Reviews are the bane of most authors' existence. The thing with that is that verified reviews mean people paid for the book and then they're reviewing. And honestly, it just takes time. The more people that read a book, the more people review a book. And even then, only about 1 in 10 readers will review a book. And I think that number's dropping even. And so unfortunately, there's no quick or easy way. I will say the more that you connect with your audience and you ask them to leave reviews, the better off you'll be because most people don't think about it. Most people, I mean, we all probably buy from Amazon on a regular basis. How often do you review products unless you really hated it? Or maybe you really loved it. So I think it's just one of those things that awareness is half of it, just asking people to review the book if you've known that they read it. And the more readers you have, the more reviewers you have. So asking in the back of the book, asking your email list, asking on social media, all of those things really make a difference. Is it worth it to pay for reviews for Ford reviews and be put in their magazine? It costs about $300. We already paid for a Clarion and Kirkus review. How many trade reviews should we get? Reader's favorite, I would do the free option because you also asked about that. Reader's favorite, absolutely do the free option. I would not pay for any reader favorites review personally. But they do have the option to submit for a free review, and I like to do that for new books because hey, why not? As far as paying for trade reviews, I think that if you're going to do it, pick one or two, and that's plenty. You do not need to pay for a bunch of new reviews as far as being put in people's magazines and things like that. Um, when you pay for a review and you go in someone's magazine, you're actually in a section with a bunch of other books that have paid for reviews and features. Most people who are in the industry know that that's a paid for feature. If they look through it, they are kind of glancing through it. They're not giving it as much consideration as they are the reviews and the features that were listed, um, just based on, I don't want to say merit because it's not that the paid review books aren't good. It's just they paid to play. And the other books are being featured for other reasons or they were chosen by reviewers. And so when you're paying to play, you kind of get put in a section and it's just not going to get you as much attention. So I'm not saying you should never do it. I would not spend a huge budget on it. I would much rather you see actually take out an ad on Publishers Weekly or I think IBPA is currently doing a promotion where they have books that go on the cover and different things like that. I think you'll get better and more rounded exposure that way than paying for review and placement in there. program. Let's see. Thank you. Thank you. Nah, I personally wouldn't be doing a reader's favorite book contest, but that's just me. You always can, but I I haven't found them to be fantastic for the clients that I've worked with in those. All right, what's the optimal newsletter output? Once a month or 6 times a year? This depends on the author. I think consistency is important. What can you realistically commit to? I have authors, especially in like romance genre, who do like once a week and they connect with their readers a lot that way. I have authors that do every other week. The minimal I would say is once a month. You want to be in touch with your readers once a month so they don't forget you. Um, but should it be more than that? That's really up to you and your readers and how much you have to say and how many new releases you have. So anywhere from once a week to once a month would be kind of ideal, in my opinion, depending on you and your readers and what you can really hold up with. We can all only do what we can do. We only have so much capacity, right? And as authors, there's a lot of things that you're doing, including writing and marketing your book and doing newsletters and doing so many different things. And many of you also have full-time jobs elsewhere. And so the thing is that you can only do what you can do and you have to prioritize and be realistic. I think there's something to be said for goals that is fantastic when we say, I want to do this. Great. When you say that, reach for the stars. I want to walk on the moon. Not really. That has no appeal to me, but great, fantastic. But let's also go for some more realistic goals, stepping stones along the way. So for authors who are like, I want to be a full-time author, fantastic. What's your first goal to that? Write a book. Okay. What are the tasks that are going to get you to write a book? I'm going to commit to sit down and write for 20 minutes a day, every day, Monday through Friday. We have to take these really big goals and break them down. Once you have one book, what's your next goal? What does your publishing schedule look like for the year? So I think that our goals and what's realistic and not will depend on where you're already at as an author. It will depend on your resources. How much time do you have? Do you have money to invest in help? Are you doing this all on your own? What's your life situation? You know, there are different times for different things. And so I think that we really just have to look at those resources. And then we have to set realistic goals. And it's not that you can't, be a full-time author one day. There are a lot of steps in between. So we've got to set individual goals for that. And that's one of the things I've been talking to a lot of authors about actually as we get to the end of the year. This is where, with a lot of my authors, we will look forward to the next year, new contracts of working together, but also what are our hopes and plans? How many books do we want to get out next year? Do we have a specific goal of building a newsletter list and consistently reaching out to that newsletter list? Are we trying to hit some type of award or list? But I think we really have to look at these goals and look at them and then break it down even more of how are we going to reach that? What steps are we going to take? Because as you break down the steps, a lot of time you're also going, oh, that means I have to have this much time, or I have to have this or do that. And so that allows you to know whether or not that these goals, big as they may be or small as they may be, are realistic for you. And I think it's really important to have big dreams, but realistic goals, because if we are constantly not able to meet our goals, it's very discouraging and it's very easy to give up. But if we have really big dreams, but we set ourselves with realistic goals and a realistic ongoing task to get us to those goals, then we're more likely to stick with it to really be successful over time. So I think that's one of the things, as you may be setting goals for yourself, either personally or as an author this year. I think it is one of those things to dream big, but be really specific and realistic with those goals for your next big thing. And it doesn't mean it has to take you a year. Your goal may be to write a book in 3 months. Fantastic. How many words do you want? 80,000? Okay. If you are doing 80,000 words, how many words do you have to write per day or per week or whatever it is that you're assigning yourself? Okay, you have to write 2,000 words a day. What are you going to do to make that happen? What time are you going to set aside? Are you going to have an alarm on your phone? Are you going to have someone who's going to follow up with you and say, hey, how did writing go today? And I think all of those things just really play into success long term, especially for authors. As I said, you very often have other things going on. And so we have to consider that. The life doesn't just go away because we're writing a book. And so do yourself a favor and make your dreams achievable. All right. So I think we're right towards the end. Yeah, I think we're right towards the end, so we do have to hop off. If I didn't get to any questions today, I do apologize. Again, we will not be here next Friday on December 27th. We'll be on holiday break. I do hope that we'll be back the following Friday. So I think that'll be January 3rd. We should be able to be back. I'll be back or actually, I'll be in the new house in Virginia. So I hope to see you there. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season and just I hope you get a break and time to rest and goal plan and everything else. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being just part of this community this year. It is really one of the brightest parts of my week. So thank you so much. I hope everyone has an awesome holiday and we will see you in 2025. Bye, everybody.